Welcome to our exploration of transformation and change. In life, change is as inevitable as the rising and setting of the sun. It's a constant companion, an ever-present force that shapes and reshapes our lives, our beliefs, and our very selves. How we respond to change, how we navigate through its turbulent waters, that is what truly defines us. But how do we embrace change? How do we harness its power and turn it into a catalyst for growth and transformation? That's what we aim to explore in this series. Through the lens of faith, we will delve into stories from ancient times. Tales of men and women who faced profound changes and emerged stronger, wiser, and more faithful. In this journey, we will encounter the story of Jonah, a man swallowed by a fish, trapped in darkness, praying for deliverance. We will discover the faith of Abraham, a man called to make the ultimate sacrifice. We will witness the transformation of Saul, a persecutor turned preacher. And finally, we will explore the concept of death and resurrection, the ultimate symbol of change and transformation. So come with us on this journey of discovery as we delve into these powerful narratives and uncover the lessons they hold for us today. Let's embrace the transformative power of change together. Picture a man swallowed by a large fish, trapped in darkness, praying for deliverance. This isn't a fairy tale, but the story of Prophet Jonah. Our journey begins in the ancient city of Nineveh, a city filled with wickedness and sin. God, in his infinite wisdom, chose Jonah, a simple man, to carry his message of repentance to these lost souls. But Jonah, filled with fear and doubt, chose to flee rather than obey. His escape was cut short when a violent storm threatened to sink his ship. In his heart, Jonah knew he was the cause of this calamity, and in a sacrificial act, he allowed himself to be thrown overboard. Swallowed by a giant fish, Jonah found himself in the belly of his despair, trapped in darkness, praying for deliverance. This was his moment of transformation. In the dank, dark belly of the beast, Jonah confronted his fear, his disobedience, and his lack of faith. He prayed earnestly to God, seeking forgiveness and promising to obey. 3 days and nights he spent in the belly of the fish, a period of introspection and change. When he was spat out onto dry land, Jonah was a changed man. He went to Nineveh, carried God's message, and the city repented. But Jonah's transformation was not just about obeying God's command, it was about understanding God's love for all his creation, even those who have strayed far away. The story of Jonah is a tale of transformation, of a man who went from disobedience to faithfulness, from fear to courage. It's a story of how God's love can change the hardest of hearts, and how his faithfulness remains, even when we falter. Jonah's story is not just an ancient tale, it is a mirror held up to our own lives, reflecting our own fears, doubts, and disobediences. It shows us that even in the face of great trials, God's faithfulness is unwavering. His love is unchanging, his mercy is unending. Jonah's story teaches us that even when we resist change, God's faithfulness remains. Now let us journey back to another story, the tale of Abraham, a man whose faith was tested in the most unimaginable way. Abraham, a figure of profound significance in the Old Testament, was a man of unwavering faith, whose trust in God's promises was tried and tested in ways most of us could scarcely comprehend. His story is one of obedience and trust, even in the face of drastic and daunting change. Abraham and his wife Sarah were promised by God that they would have a son, despite their advanced age. True to his word, they were blessed with Isaac, the son of promise. But then came the ultimate test of faith. God commanded Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, his beloved son, as a burnt offering, a command that must have shaken Abraham to his very core. But here's the remarkable part. Abraham didn't question or falter. He didn't let fear or doubt cloud his faith. Instead, he prepared to obey God's command, trusting in his promise. He willingly led Isaac up the mountain, built an altar, and readied himself for the unthinkable. And just as he was about to raise his hand, an angel of the Lord intervened, halting Abraham's hand. A ram caught in a thicket nearby was provided as a substitute for Isaac. Abraham's faith had been tested, and he had passed. His willingness to obey, even in the face of such a heart-wrenching command, demonstrated his unwavering faith and trust in God's promise. Abraham's story isn't just an ancient tale, it's a timeless testament to faith, trust, and obedience. It's a reminder that even when we're faced with seemingly insurmountable changes, we can trust in God's faithfulness. Abraham's faith was not blind, it was rooted in the promise of a God who had proven himself faithful time and again. So as we navigate the ebbs and flows of our own lives, Let us remember Abraham. Let his faith inspire us to trust in God's promises, even when the path ahead seems uncertain and fraught with change. Abraham's story serves as a testament to trusting God's faithfulness even when facing seemingly insurmountable changes. Moving to the New Testament, we encounter Saul, a man whose life was dramatically transformed on the road to Damascus. Here is a man who was feared by Christians, a zealous persecutor, relentless in his pursuit to quash the early believers of Christ. Yet his story doesn't end there. In the heart of his mission to eliminate Christianity, Saul was struck by a blinding light from heaven. A voice echoed, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" That voice belonged to none other than Jesus Christ himself. This divine encounter marked the beginning of a radical transformation, a shift from persecutor to preacher. And so begins the conversion of Saul, a man known for his hostility towards Christians, into Paul, an apostle of Christ. This wasn't a gradual shift, it was sudden, dramatic, and life-altering. In an instant, his eyes were opened to the truth he had been fighting against. The scales fell from his eyes, both literally and metaphorically, and he was baptized into a new life. But God's work in Paul did not stop at his conversion. He was not merely transformed, he was repurposed. From a feared persecutor, he became a formidable preacher, spreading the good news of the gospel far and wide. His once hostile zeal was redirected towards proclaiming the truth of Christ's resurrection. At the heart of the New Testament lies the ultimate story of change, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. This transformative event marked the most profound transition from death to life, a change that echoes through time and resonates with all humanity. In the city of Jerusalem over 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ was crucified. His body was beaten, pierced, and hung on a cross, a spectacle of suffering. His death was a moment of despair, a seeming end to the promise of a Savior. Yet it was the beginning of a miraculous transformation. 3 days later, the tomb where Jesus was laid was found empty. He had risen, conquering death itself, and in doing so brought a radical change. The despair was replaced with joy. The end became a new beginning, and death turned into life. This event is the cornerstone of Christian faith. It's a testament to God's power to bring about change, even in the face of the seemingly impossible. The resurrection of Jesus Christ symbolizes the possibility of transformation, of renewal, and of rebirth. It's a promise that no situation is so dire, no challenge so great, that it cannot be overcome. The resurrection also underscores God's unwavering faithfulness. Despite the pain and the suffering, God remained true to his promise. He did not abandon Jesus in the tomb, but raised him to life, fulfilling his word and proving his steadfast love for humanity. Every Easter, Christians around the world celebrate this event. They remember the death and resurrection of Jesus, the change from despair to hope, from death to life. It's a reminder of the power of change, of the possibility of transformation, and of God's faithfulness. The resurrection of Jesus is not just a story from the past, it's a beacon of hope for the present and the future. It's a call to embrace change, to trust in God's faithfulness, and to believe in the power of transformation. The resurrection of Jesus is the ultimate testament to God's power to bring about change and his unwavering faithfulness. These stories, though thousands of years old, still speak to us today as we navigate our own seasons of change. In the vast tapestry of life, change is the only constant, and much like the heroes of the Bible, we too are called to embrace it. Indeed, we live in an era of unprecedented transformation where the world around us evolves at lightning speed. Yet the lessons drawn from these ancient narratives continue to shine brightly, guiding us through the labyrinth of modern life. Consider Abraham, a man of tremendous faith who left the comfort of his homeland to journey into the unknown. His story teaches us the virtue of stepping out of our comfort zones, trusting God's promises even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Or reflect on Paul, the once persecutor turned preacher. His dramatic transformation underscores the power of redemption and the capacity within each of us to change. It reminds us that no matter our past, God's grace can shape our future. And then there's Jonah, who tried to outrun God's plan, only to find himself in the belly of a great fish. His tale is a poignant reminder that we cannot escape change, but rather we should embrace it, knowing that God uses these moments for our growth and his glory. Lastly, we look to Jesus, who through his death and resurrection brought about the most profound change in human history. His life exemplifies the ultimate act of resilience and trust in God's faithfulness, a beacon of hope that shines across the centuries. These stories are not just relics of the past, but timeless lessons that remain relevant today. They encourage us to embrace change, not with fear, but with faith, trusting in God's unwavering faithfulness. In the midst of our modern struggles and triumphs, these narratives resonate with our human experience, reminding us that we are not alone. They inspire us to face the winds of change with courage, resilience, and an unwavering trust in God's plan. Just as God was faithful to Jonah, Abraham, Paul, and Jesus, He remains faithful to us today. As we journey through our own seasons of change, let these stories inspire us and strengthen our faith. Each hero of the Bible faced change, faced uncertainty, and yet they emerged stronger, their faith unbroken. They found solace in God's unchanging nature, His eternal constancy. In the spirit of Abraham's faith, of Paul's transformation, and of the ultimate change from death to life, let us also embrace the changes we face today. Allow these stories to enlighten your path, to be your guiding light in the face of change. We thank you for joining this journey with us, for exploring these stories and their profound lessons. We invite you to continue this exploration, to delve deeper into the wisdom of the Bible. Subscribe to our channel and join our community of seekers. Share these stories, share this wisdom with those you hold dear. Remember, no matter the change you face, God's faithfulness remains. Subscribe for more inspiring stories from the Bible and share this message with those you love. Until next time, stay blessed and encouraged.